victims keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to sing it. I love it. I love it. Go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NotBland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And before we get started, look, go to our YouTube page, subscribe, like, hit the button so you can know when we go live. We're going to be doing this a little bit more often here as we get into the July months, as the NFL season will start to kick off for its training camps. So go ahead and do that and share the show, because it's going to be a really, really good one. Also, make sure that you go over and you support our sponsor, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's a game that you can play and you sign up for free and you get free prizes. Again, I say, where they do that at? Go ahead. The code is at the bottom of the screen on the banner. You can join our league and you can beat up on me because I'm sitting at the bottom right now after being near the top. It's a free-for-all, ladies and gentlemen. It's not fun, but I'm just along for the ride, and congratulating those in my league who are stumping a mud hole in me and walking it dry. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am super excited today. We have a great guest. Her resume is quite impressive. She's your 2023 European FIA Top Fuel World Champion. It is Ida Zetterstrom. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Other than this heat that's killing us right now.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat on that.
Yeah, it's rough. It's so brutal.
Yeah, last weekend in Virginia was rougher than I had expected. It was warm.
Yeah, too warm.
I'm a little too Scandinavian for heat like that, I think.
It's not that hot over there where you're from.
No, we do have some hot races per year. It depends from year to year. Hockenheim can be really brutal, honestly.
Yeah.
I think this heat we had this weekend is basically what we have had in Hockenheim for some years, and that can be hard, especially when you're actually driving and you're in the car. But for most of the time, the races doesn't get that hot back at home.
Oh, okay. Now, you started in drag racing. What got you started in racing? Like, what was the thing that, like, where the bug bit you and you were like, I've got to do this?
I can't put a date to it. I've been at the track since I was 3 weeks old. So, I can't remember never not being at the track, basically. I fell in love with it with a really early age. I can't even tell you when, because it's just always been there. Funny with that is that both me and my sister have both grown up at the tracks, been there, with our parents from basically we were born, and from that on. She's never raced, and she doesn't have an interest in drag racing, and I got totally bitten by it. So it just goes to show that, you can have the exact same upbringing, but you can still turn out very different in your personalities, which is fun. I started when I was 8. So my dad built a junior dragster. Back then, 8 was the lowest age you can start. So
Right.
we got me started in that then. And yeah, I think I made one pass and asked if we could make it go quicker. And then from that on, that was it.
That is awesome. What impressed me about your resume is the fact that you rode motorcycles. And
Yeah.
that's not easy for anyone to do. And the fact that you were able to not only, I believe, win championship, to go from that to motorcycle is just absolutely, it stuns me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. That was never planned. I've never had anything against motorcycles, but I have not grown up around motorcycles. Of course, there's always been bikes there when we have been racing, but I've probably been the person that, when the bikes start racing, I'll leave the grandstand, which I'm not like that anymore. But when I grew up, that was me. So the only interaction I had with bikes was, of course, I had mopeds when I was, 15, 16, so on. I did a little dirt bike, not racing, just drove it. My boyfriend raced dirt bikes, so we were basically at the track a lot. And I bought my own bike and we ran together because it's great exercise. It's so much fun. I had an enduro bike as my last bike, and it was just a great time. But never really. I didn't have a street license, for example, when I started racing bikes. I had never really been on like a street bike. My first bike I got on to make a few just passes down the track was a like spiced up Hayabusa. And that was basically from there. We were gonna start racing with a 1585cc naturally aspirated Hayabusa, and I made a few test laps on that. And I think that was the only bike we haven't built ourselves, and we managed to kick the rods out of that one. And knock on wood, it's the only time I ever kicked the rods out of a bike engine. So going from that, we had an engine with 2 holes in it, and we were like, should we rebuild a new naturally aspirated engine, or should we go straight to super street bike? At that time, my boyfriend raced super street bike, and that's kind of how I got into the bike scene. I didn't think it was for me. I was out of racing, out of the seat, and worked on his bike. So I did his clutch and went to all the races with him. Just absolutely fell in love with this class called super street bike. So I had previous years, if you heard me say an interview, I've been like, that's cool, but I would never race a turbo bike. And then a year later, that was me racing the turbo bike. So things change, but I've always been up for a challenge. I do believe that you can learn anything you set your mind to.
Right.
I get told by some people that I would not be successful at it because there hadn't been a lot of other young females doing it well. And I just feel like they probably haven't had the opportunity to fall in love with the sport like I had, or like the class. At the time where I won my championship, I was the first woman to win it, but I was the youngest to win it. And for me, that says more. I know a lot of people put a lot of weight into being the first woman or being the only woman, and I don't care about that kind of stuff. If it inspires someone else, if it inspires some other girl to get in it, absolutely, I'm all down for that. But for me, it was cool to be the youngest to ever win the Super Street Bike Champion. So that's kind of how it went. It was, like you said, it's not easy to move into a class like that.
Right.
I was struggling a lot. We built everything ourselves, and I've always been a firm believer that if you're gonna race it, you're gonna run it. I have never wanted to have someone else run my bike until it runs good and then me jumping on it, because I feel like the process of learning is also going through all of those hard times on it and figuring out those bugs. And I also believe that if you're gonna race a class like that, that's shit goes sideways every now and then. You want to know how to handle that. And if you are given a bike that performs perfectly, you probably don't know what to do when you end up in when shit hits the fan, basically. So that I learned a lot doing that. I think the press called me wheelie queen my first year because we wheelied a lot. And from that, I got really good at managing a wheelie, knowing, when it was a power wheelie, when it is supposed to come down again, or when it comes up and you know that this is not going to come down by yourself, you need to help it out, and how to catch a wheelie without, hurting parts or yourself and stuff like that. So I feel like it helped my riding a lot, but not going to lie, that first 1 or 2 years, they were hard. I mean, I didn't even know how to do a burnout on a bike when I sat on it the first time. So there was a lot.
Yeah, that's impressive. To put your mind to something and then be able to, get to the point where you've kind of mastered it. I just find that to be so inspiring for others who may set out to do whatever that may be in racing. Because I know I really had, I was a person that didn't pay attention to bikes too. I did some, some fill-in work and some work for Jack at some of the different bike events. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know they had these classes.
Exactly.
And after that, I was totally hooked on motorcycles and watching them run. So that really is something that
I still love motorcycles. Like, I still love the classes. I still love watching them run. The class I ran doesn't run in NHRA, but you see drives, like, look at the final last weekend in Virginia. We had Richard Gadsden and Gage Herrera. Both of those guys I ran together with them in Pro Street Bike in 2018 when I raced. We raced the
Yeah.
same class. Like I have photos of me and Richard Gavson racing, side by side or doing qualifying passes at least. So it's so cool for me to see too. Guys that I raced with, in the same classes, they came from the, no wheelie bar, street tire bike. A lot of people said that either you're good at one of those things, but both those riders were perfect and really good at what they did on the no wheelie bar, street tire bikes. And now seeing them kill it over in Pro Stock Bike, it is very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so impressive. I saw both of them over in the other, classes that they ran. And man,
Yeah.
when I heard they got Gage, it was one thing, but when I heard they had gotten Richard, I had told Eddie, I was like, "What are you trying to do? Assemble
It's
the
a
Avengers?"
powerhouse. Yeah. No, and for me, it's just very cool because I feel like everybody talks about it. Oh, you like bikes? Have you heard about these guys? I'm like, I knew they were great riders before they came into NHRA. Like I had no doubt that they would be good at what they're doing. Yeah.
Indeed. Now you go from bike to Top Fuel.
Yeah, that's also a strange move. And I mean, if you looked at an interview when I was 8 years old and asked when I was going to run when I was 18, I said I was going to run Top Fuel. But honestly, you come to the point where you're 18 and you understand that running Top Fuel takes a lot of money, a lot of
Yeah.
knowledge. Like I didn't have the connections, I didn't have the money, I wasn't there. And honestly, I feel like making the transition into racing super street bike, which is such a challenging class, especially from someone that doesn't have the background in bikes like me, going into that transition was probably harder than when I made a transition to Top Fuel. And part of it was probably my mindset because I knew that, okay, last time I did this type of transition, it was hard. I knew I had to work my butt off to make this work. And I knew that, there's going to be challenges, but I had also learned how to attack them and, what was important to kind of learn what you needed to do. Plus a class like Super Street Bike, it's turbo bikes. We run 6.8, 215 miles per hour. Those bikes never stop accelerating. Like it's a challenge all the way down track. In a good run, you shouldn't have the front wheel on the ground a lot. It should always be moving, and you need to take in what the bike is doing all the time and just adapt things as it goes, however you want to steer the bike or what you want to do with it. It's kind of the same feeling in the Top Fuel. Of course, it goes quicker, it goes by a lot faster, and you don't steer it the same way as you steer a bike. But the mental process of taking in information as it accelerates all the time and just making split decision as you go without second guessing it, that's the same thing. Like the mental process is basically the same in a Top Fuel. You just adapt to it differently. And honestly, driving 330 or so, I've been 329, so I haven't really been 330 yet, but driving that fast in a Top Fuel car, yes, that's fast, but I will say that 215 on a bike feels freaking fast too, because it's like you have literally wind in your hair and then you're like holding onto a bike. You're not getting pushed into a seat, you're actually holding onto something.
Right.
So I feel like I had gotten used to the feeling of speed more than I probably had, that I probably knew myself,
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting to hear you to kind of talk about the two. Now, could you explain a little bit? I believe that over in Europe there are some differences to Top Fuel than over here. Am I correct?
Not really any differences like that. We do run the same rule book. So we have basically the same NHRA rule book. Usually when there's a new NHRA rule applied here, it usually takes a year or two before it makes its way to Europe. If it's not any, big safety rules that can apply right away. The cars, almost all of them are, ex-US cars that come up from over here. We bought them to Europe. We don't really have canopy cars. Actually, we have a team now that's gonna run a canopy car this year. But other than that, like most teams have open cockpit cars. I'm used to running an open cockpit car. The cars are, they're a little older. Many teams run used parts for various reasons, budget being one of them. Of course, we do have a lot lower budgets over in Europe, but also because most of the tracks aren't that good that we want all the power. Sometimes if you build if you build everything because you're going to have maximum power and you don't have a track that you can apply it to, you know, it's harder to slow cars down than it is to speed them up. So I think that many teams still use used parts to kind of still be on a good level for our tracks. We have some really good tracks. We've set track records and run really well at Santa Pod. The track at Tierp is also very strong. We actually had the team I ran for, they ran the third 3-7 time in Europe this past event. They were there. So we do have good tracks, but not all of them are on that level. Another thing is, of course, with budget, that we don't have crew guys that are full-time employees. You know, most of the teams, or I would say 99% of all teams you will find out there, they have crew guys that only work on voluntary basis. I mean, all my crew guys, they did it because they loved it. The love for the sport and for the team and for winning together. And they came to the tracks, you know, stayed on air mattresses in the trailer, and we just raced together. They took time off their work, and that's how they spent it. So it is different. Over here, it is, you know, it's a full-time machine. It's like everybody's full-time work. It's there, but they make a living of. That's not the case over in Europe. So it's different, but there's a lot of passion, and seeing the times we run over there, especially when you start looking at time slips, honestly, up until the 8 mile, we run really strong. Usually we are lacking a little bit on the last end of the track. A lot of the time it's because the tracks just aren't holding it that well at the top end. So cars get a little looser. We have a little lower speeds than the cars have over here, but we do run really strong for what we are working with, especially also considering we have shorter seasons. Over here, when you have 20 seasons and test sessions, and we are working at, you know, 6 to 8 events per year, and that's included testing. So many teams don't have testing at all. So that's, you know, the more time you have to run, the more data you get, and the easier it is to find that setup. So if you're looking at it like that, looking at the amount of runs we have, we are years behind, but we're still running numbers that would qualify strong on the fields over here. So I think it's impressive.
I do too. The fact that you don't nearly have as much testing, and yet to go out, and it makes it even more difficult to go out and win a championship, because not only do you guys, you know, have to hit the ground running, there's no, it's not like over here where I've got a 4-quarter season, and you know, if I trip up in the first quarter, I've still got 3 more quarters that I can play in. You trip up over there, it could cost you a championship. So that makes it even more impressive of how you won that championship.
I think a lot of people told me when I was coming over here and race, you know, you always see some comments of people that are very negative. That's just the way the world works. And some of them were like, hey, a season over there, it's only 6 to 8 races. It's not impressive to win a championship. But if you look at it over here, I mean, the countdown is 6 races. And that's where, you know, the points resets, and you better bring your A game. And you know that if you go out the first run when in that countdown, you have a hard time catching up. And it's the exact same thing for us, because if you go out first run on the first event of the season, you have a really hard work catching up. And especially for us, we don't have 16 cars fields. I mean, if we have a good event, we have an 8-car ladder. So which also means that we don't have as many runs to catch up on. So if you do, I mean, look at it from, we won in 2023, but in 2022, when we came into the last 2 events, we were leading the championship. It was feeling really good. We lost first round of that race that we came into in Hockenheim. We were not able to catch up. We were unlucky on the last event where it rained a bit in qualifying, so we couldn't pick up any qualifying points. We only got 2 chances at qualifying, and then went straight into race day. I spun the tires in the first run, and that was it. Like, there was no chance of me to catching up. And that's just it. Like, if you don't hit the ground running, if you don't perform on your absolute best all the time, you're out. And that's many of the years, at least, it is like that. So that does make it more tricky than people understand. Of course, in a way you can look at it, yes, it is a little easier when there's not as many contestants, because you don't have to go as many rounds. But it's also not easy when all those rounds have to be perfect, basically.
Exactly. Lonnie says, when is the FIA drag racing season contested, and will you be defending your title?
I won't defend my title. They are going right now. So they
Okay.
started in end of May in Santa Pod, and then they continued in, let's see, 2 weeks ago. 2 weekends ago, they were at Tierp Arena for their second event, and they will continue from there. So no chance for me to compete and defend my title, but I'm very, I'm very into what we're doing over here right now. So I would have
Absolutely.
had a hard time flying back and forth anyways.
So I was able to watch you months ago on the Between the Slicks episode,
Okay.
and you had talked about having the right situation when you came over here. And with the Maynard family, this seems to be a really, really good situation for you. How did this all come about?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it seems like everything went very quickly, but I also know that, I've been working for this for years. And for me, I've been coming over to as many events I can every year to kind of, meet people,
Yeah,
network. I have had several American sponsors, so it's also included a lot of trips over here to kind of, take care of them and to see how we can work on building what we were doing together. And
yeah,
this was one of the trips where I came over to talk to a team about something that would potentially come up and also meet my sponsors and so on. That was last year. And as I was here, I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, and he mentioned that he wanted to introduce me to Joe. And that was not on my calendar when I came over here. I had complete different goals right then. But I had never met Joe, and I was like, absolutely, I want to meet him. And I got the chance to share with him my vision of what I wanted to do in the sport and why I wanted to come over here. Talk a little bit about how important it was for me that I found a home where I could bring my sponsors, because there's partnerships I've been working on for many
yeah.
years, and it's companies I'm very proud to work together with. And he understood that, and he's a businessman, and I've been running my businesses for both racing and my personal work now. And for me, it's been very important to look at your racing as a business, because that's exactly what we're working with here.
Indeed.
And I felt right away that he understood what I meant. And my dream has been to race Top Fuel in NHRA. And when we understood that we had a way to work together on this, um, it just felt completely right. I mean, I did feel like I tried to keep other doors open. But when we said it's Top Fuel NHRA with a team that feels like we share the same vision, it was a very easy choice for me.
That's awesome. And so all of your sponsors that you had over in Europe will be coming with you?
Yeah, more or less. We have a few sponsors that were very big on the European side, but doesn't have any business in US. They
Gotcha.
are still coming with us, but not in the same extent as when we were doing it in Europe.
Yeah,
But it's very cool that we still found a way to bring them with us, because they do see the value of social media and everything we're doing over there.
indeed.
So that's very cool to be able to do that. And also actually even tie stronger bands with some of the European sponsors that we had over there, that saw that me coming over to US to race as one of the first Europeans to do it on this level will be big for the European companies too. And we actually made bigger contracts with them. So it's been very good to be able to feel like I have a home for them to come over here. And also we are of course working on bringing even more of these brands in. So
How has it been being a part and being a teammate of the Sarge?
yeah, Tony's great, and I mean he is, of course, one of the best to ever do it with all his championships and all the knowledge he has. So, yeah, no, that's very cool, and I feel like this whole team overall has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. So, very cool, absolutely, to be teammate with someone that's been part of such a big part of European history or NHRA history, but also crew chiefs. Joe, even though he's a new team owner, I feel like he's bringing so much to the
Oh
table,
yeah.
and it's just very fun to see it all come together. We have some great crew guys that they really know what they're doing and they're really passionate about it, and it's very cool to see. So I feel like it's a powerhouse. Yes.
I tell you what, guys. You can go back and watch that interview on Between the Slicks. But the things that she said then, it means something when you speak them into existence, because everything that she talked about has happened right here and allowed her to be comfortable and in the situation that she envisioned. And that is special, especially when you have a dream and you're chasing it, and you have that vision and you're able to execute and now put your vision to work. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer in that, hard work wins in the end. And if you know what you're working towards and keep your keep your focus, it's very easy to get derailed, and sometimes it looks like this is an easy route. This is where if I go here, it's going to go quicker. But I've had to many times decide to not take those roads and be like, yeah, that sounds good, but I don't think that's the wisest move for my career in the end, or whatever it might be. And just stick with the feeling that it's all gonna work out when you do it the right way.
Yeah. Drag Race and Mayhem asks a question. He says, what do you think NHRA can do to gain a bigger presence in Europe and help push the sport internationally?
It's a good question. I feel like already just from being at the races, not even racing, I've been so happy to see so many Europeans stop by our pit. I've seen, everything from people from Sweden that, have known who I am for many years, but
Yeah.
also all over in Europe, and just said that they feel like it's so great to have someone from Europe competing in Top Fuel. Also, I see them wearing my merch from Europe that they bought online, and I feel like that's so fun too, because we started the merch site for after our championship win, and the goal was to sell it to Europe, because we
Yeah.
thought, eventually we're going to have merch over here, of course, in NHRA. But I see those orders coming in, and they ship from Sweden, but we ship a lot over here to US. And then I see
Yeah.
people coming to the track. So that's very cool. I do think that there's probably a lot more. I've actually talked to NHRA a little bit about it, because they would like to find a good way to help Europeans, maybe making it easier, like, hey, here's a bundle with the hotel and tickets and whatever is needed, so that it would be
Yeah.
easy for people to purchase a way to easily come over to the races. I know that's something we have talked about before, maybe looking into how to do that. We have, of course, NHRA TV that is we're able to see worldwide. So I have a lot of friends that have subscription to that. Maybe that's even something, we can make a campaign with a little, I don't know, European discount or something. I have no
Yeah.
idea, just throwing thoughts out there. But I do think that there's a lot of things we could probably do to make the awareness even bigger. I don't know with the TV coverage if that's something that we could even try and get in some countries. I know, for example, that when I'm at the races here, I have a lot of people asking if I ever race at Santa Pod, and when I said, yeah, that's one of our biggest events, they say we see it on TV sometimes. They say over here in US. So I know that there has to be some sort of exchange on coverage like that
Yeah.
from countries. So yeah, I think that there's probably a lot there that we could do to kind of make it more global. But I do know we have a big fan base in Europe that are keeping up with NHRA already, so that's very cool to see.
So with your team being new, are all the guys like already together and kind of doing the TJ Zizzo thing, working and kind of getting used to doing everything and getting prepared for your debut?
Not 100%. Like, we have a different mix right now. We have, of course, all Tony's guys are full time, and they're
Yeah.
working on his program. Then we've had, so John Schaefer, my crew chief, was
Yeah.
on Tony's car, but he has behind the scenes been working on my car up until the point where we announced that I was racing from Brainerd. Then he kind of stepped out and been in the shop since, finishing everything for me and like leading that team that's over there. We have we have our heads guy that's gonna he's full time. He's in the shop right now. He's actually also coming to Tony's races, because we had Tony's bottom end guy actually broke his leg
Oh,
a few races back in Bristol. So he has been jumping in and doing that to help out. But that's yeah, that that's a short-term solution right now. But he's gonna be back doing heads in the shop for us and getting ready for testing. We had a bottom end guy that's there full time. We have a guy that's equipping all our trailers. That is a lot of work to get tools and parts and everything in, and building shelves and making sure that everything has a home. In the trailer, it takes more time than people think. And then we have a clutch guy that's working on everything to get all that ready. So we have a core group that's there all the time getting everything ready, and then we have flying guys that has been in the sport for a long time but doesn't do a full season right now, and they're all coming in when we're testing, and then they're coming to all our races. So I think we have a really good solution we're not obviously running a full season this year, but we're doing 8 consistent races in a row. And I feel like this is a really good solution for that, with great guys that have great knowledge, and many of them have worked with my crew chief John before, so that also helps. They know
important.
that.
Have you guys done any testing yet, or you're going to be doing that soon?
Yeah, so I've been testing twice. I tested in my car in Phoenix, so that was my first time in that car. It was a lot of small things to figure out that doesn't have anything to do with engine program or whatever. Just being like, hey, my helmet doesn't fit. I have a brand new helmet. I can't see anything. Stuff like that. That's you just assume that it's gonna work, and then you're in the car and you notice that, hey, we need to change this, we need to change that. That was a really good session. We made some good laps, and I had a few shorter passes, and then I didn't make any full passes in my car at that point, but we still run really strong numbers, and we figured out a lot of things that how I wanted to sit in the car, things we wanted to change, and like we said, suit, helmet, stuff like that, to just make everything fit. And then in Vegas, I tested in Tony's car. So on Monday, I got in his car, and had different helmet on then, but we had changed everything, how I sat, and just first pass out, it felt perfect. So that was really nice. I was able to make a full pass there, and then I had 2 shorter passes, but with good numbers. So I've done a little testing, and we're looking to do 2 more test sessions before we come out to Brainerd. Yeah,
that's awesome. I know you have to be like ready to chomp at the bit to get to Brainerd, and I am too. I really am super excited for you to hit the track. I think people are going to be like really impressed with what you're capable of doing. And Ada, I'm glad you took the time to come on the show. I really appreciate it.
I'm really happy you had me. Thank you.
And we'll do this again after sometime after your debut. But
sounds good.
Good luck, and we'll be looking. We'll be watching.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ida.
Thanks.
Man, that was fun. And I'm telling you guys, y'all got to do your research. I see y'all out there talking sideways like you know something and you don't. She is more than skilled to be here. And nobody works harder. I mean, she kind of reminds me of Leah as well. Someone who works hard behind the scenes, trying to get and work and get sponsorships. It's more than just getting in the car, and it's impressive. It's impressive. I mean, to go from bike to Top Fuel, like seriously, amazing. What an event we had in Virginia. I thought it was interesting. It was a tale of what, 2 halves, 3 halves, maybe. These are your winners. Brought to you by the NHRA. You got Gage Herrera, who is doing historical things that may not be repeated in my lifetime. Aaron Stanfield, guy's been close. He's been working hard and finally gets the breakthrough and gets his first win of the season. Can't argue with that. And AP, Austin Prock, puts John Force Racing on his back and gets another dub. That's 3, y'all. That's 3. And how about the champ, the reigning, defending, undisputed, Top Fuel champion of the world, Doug Coletta, gets another win. I mean, couldn't have been better other than the heat. I mean, other than the heat, right? Because it was hot. It was so hot. Hot like it is here. You fans that stuck around as long as you did, impressive. Absolutely impressive. I know people left later on, and that's understandable. I mean, that was brutal. The heat was brutal. Drag Race and Mayhem says Virginia was awesome. Best weekend of my life. It looked like it. It definitely looked like it. He also says she has earned a ride more than some current drivers have. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why it makes me a little hot under the collar when I see some of the ignorant comments that some of these jabronis make. Nikki Clark says she's worked her tail off. She deserves to be where she's at. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like I said, irritates me. Lonnie says, speaking of Leah, baby on the way. Yes. Tony, Leah, if you watch this show, congratulations. That was some awesome news. Very beautiful news to receive. Amazing. Glad things are moving forward. And it's a boy. So another teammate for TSR. Super awesome. Well, if it was a girl, it'd still be a teammate, right? But yeah, Virginia was fun. As everybody has expressed, definitely keeping John and the family and the team in our thoughts and prayers. Get well soon, champ. Superman will be back. That's for sure. But overall, great event. NHRA doing what they did after the rains and the safety safari, getting that track back together to run, low ET and top speed of the meet. We had side-by-side drag racing. Absolutely just unbelievable what that group was able to do in getting that track back to where it was competitive. And no one could complain. And the fans couldn't either who stayed. Great runs that were made during that. Drag Racing Mayhem says, special thanks to Joey and everyone at the team Tasca for taking me behind the scenes into their world. Some of the nicest people. Yes, they are. They are very nice people. I was hoping that Bob would go 6. He went 6 for 6. He had a perfect QBR. I was hoping he would go 6 for 7 to kind of solidify and make my at least funny car bracket, at least get the winner. But AP made me pay. So it is what it is. He's doing so well. And he said, thank the Franklins for the best surface in the country. Man, you're not lying. You are not lying. Definitely great surface there. So we move on to Norwalk, and I want to highlight some people that have been on this show. First of all, our guy, Nitro Joe Morrison. He's making his debut this weekend. Paul Smith there standing beside him. Looking forward to seeing him hit the track and be a nuisance for everyone else out there on the racetrack. Another NotBland Show person who has been here, Chris King, coming out as well. He'll be back. I'm hoping that they can have a better outing than they did last time. Of course, as he spoke of, they have guys that rotate in and out. They're not consistent guys. So I really hope that, they've got the bugs worked out from the first one and they can actually get in here, make some noise, and hopefully get in the top 16. If you weren't aware, Kid Chaos, Kyle Koretsky is going to be in the Factory X. I'm looking forward to that. That's a beautiful car. Beautiful car. That is a class that I would love to do. It is a beautiful car. I'm looking forward to him being out on the track as well. If you're looking at, this is courtesy of Team Nitro. TSR Nitro, giving us this information here in their releases. I thank you. This is the event overview. You see what we have there on Friday. We're going to be 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern for the first session. There'll be 4 here. Second session, 8:30. So you're going to get to see some header fire. I love it. Those pipes will be lit at night. I love it. So it'll be 8:30. Tentatively, all these times are subject to change. And then on Saturday, you have these times here, 2:30, 3:10, 5 o'clock, and 5:30. Of course, Too Fast, Too Tasty worked in to those qualifying sessions 3 and 4. And then for those of you who do not watch on NHRA TV, those are your times at the bottom of the screen and where you can find the broadcast. The finals will be on Fox, the big boy Fox. I love it. 11 o'clock start. That's the only thing I'm going to say here. 12 o'clock starts are too late. I think it's either 10 or 11. No later than, unless there's some unforeseen occurrences, because that happens. But on Sunday, 10 or 11. I think those are the best times. That's just my opinion. And other people that watch have that sentiment as well. Norwalk is pretty stacked, ladies and gentlemen. Top fuel, 20 cars. Some notable surprises, though. Trip Tatum, happy to see him back out there. Spencer Massey. Yeah, that's what I said. Spencer Massey will be there. And I was shocked when I saw his name. But you know how Spencer drives, and I feel sorry for the Top Fuel ladder here. If I'm anybody in the top half, I don't want to be paired with him first round. If he gets in, which normally he does. So let's say he gets in. I don't want to be paired with him first round. I don't care if he's 16, 15, 14, 13. I don't care. I do not want him first round. He cuts too good of lights. And if you slip up, he going to put you on the trailer and happily smile. And Travis Shoemake, I'm happy to see them coming out. I really hope that they don't skip the best session. If you skip the first session, totally understand. But I think at least you should go out in the first session and take it to about 300 feet and shut it off. Just so you can get some data for the front half on the night session. Because the night session is where you can put yourself in. And if you slip up, oh well, but at least you tried. And I understand parts are not of the abundance. I get it. But if you want to make the show, those are the 2 times. That's the time you want to be in. That's not the session you want to skip. So I hope that they don't skip that session. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Got to get back here. Yes, Lonnie, TJ Zizzo will be there. I just didn't have him as a surprise because I expected it. But yes, TJ is on the list. Another team that is a thorn in someone's side. And that's a guy I don't want to see in first round either. Really, if he makes it past first round and second round, any round, I really don't want to see the guy. Because if I slip up and just wisp the tires, he's going to go blowing by me. Nah, that ain't a guy I want to see. I want him to be on the opposite side of the ladder so I don't have to see him until the final. Drag Racing Mayhem says, what did you think of the 2-day format in Virginia? I thought the 2-day format was beautiful. And I thought that with that 2-day format, it proves that it can be done. It also opens the door for other places that maybe your Friday nights aren't profitable. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the NHRA. To me, it's more about let's make this profitable for the track. And if the tracks aren't making money on Friday and they're in the red on Friday, we don't want to do anything to hurt the tracks that we have left. We want to try to maximize their profitability, right? So that they can continue to be alive and thriving well. I think those work. Doesn't have to be for everyone, but the ones on the schedule where your Fridays are pedestrian and you can hear crickets chirp even over the top fuel cars because there's no one there. And that's not profitable for the track. So I think this opens the door to view and be able to look at different avenues of where we can make not only the event packed, but more profitable for the racetrack as well. So I enjoyed it. Thought it was great. I know a lot of people did not, but you got to think outside the box, people. Isn't Dakin from Ohio maybe playing when they sold to Krista? I thought so, but I don't. It may very well may be. I know it says McLeod is the sponsor. It's a 19 Coletta chassis. Obviously, and they're running an AGA 500 QB inch. So I was trying to figure it out myself because I thought, if I'm not mistaken, I thought that Dakin sold to Krista. So I was like, wow, okay, no problem. Yeah, Spencer is a great driver. And like I said, don't want to see that dude nowhere. Never missed a TV session. No, you know what I did? I was watching NHRA TV and the broadcast on my phone. Kind of like sometimes when I do the NFL, I've got like several things going, but I always try to support the Fox broadcast, support the boys over there, my guy Brian Loans and Tony Pedregon. Yeah, got to support the live broadcast. To get your car and your sponsor on TV, definitely. That's what it's all about. And I'm happy for our guys, our part-time guys that are going to be able to do that. And hopefully they'll be able to get their sponsor on TV on Sunday as well. Yep. I'm looking forward to TJ being out there, Lonnie. It's going to be fun. Lonnie says, I stand by my statement that if TJ ran the entire season, he'd finish top 10. I agree too. I mean, the thing that irritates me is like the fact they come out every time and they're flawless. And I tell you, I know why they're flawless, because they prepare, they stay ready so they don't have to get ready. That's what they do. They don't sit around and pull the car out when they're ready and dust it off. No, they stay ready so they don't have to get ready. I just don't understand why somebody doesn't jump on the side of this car and give them a little bit more funding so they can race the entire season. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I often wonder at times, where are sponsors like Pennzoil and that we had, where are these oil sponsors? And I don't want to hear nothing. Y'all making money. Y'all killing us out here. So, I mean, I miss those. The yellow, Pennzoil, Eddie Hill. I mean, a staple, just like Jegs. Where are these people? They got plenty of money. They can sponsor TJ. Come on. Drag Racing Mayhem says it should have been a night. Should have been a night, though. You're in the South in June. Just run the race at night so everyone isn't in the heat. Yeah, it was hot. I know it was hot because we're dealing with the same thing here right now. Heat index today was 105 at 4 o'clock today, or actually about 3:30 today. So I don't know what it topped out at, but yeah. Oh, it is Krista's dragster. Okay, did not know that. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. That's cool that Krista is doing that. Awesome. Spencer is something else, man. Like I said, if I'm anybody, that's the guy that you go up there and as soon as he put the staging bulb on, you put both of them on. You got to do something. You guys ridiculous on the tree. Lonnie says not many oil companies, but NHRA has more alcohol themed sponsors than they know what to do with. Yeah, I'm cool with that too, though. Bring them. Need all of it. They would probably, if I had a car that, it would be sponsored by Hennessy. Get it? It's stereotype. Laugh. It's funny. Or I get Snoop Dogg's gin and juice. How about that? Somebody needs to talk to Snoop Dogg. Yeah, that's what he needs to be doing. I understand. He advertises in the WWE. That's cool. But could you imagine the gin and juice with the car and the logo on the side of a dragster or a funny car? Beautiful. I'm going to have to get on the phone and talk to Unc and see what he's going to do. Lonnie says, if you drink tequila, then NHRA is for you. Yeah, absolutely. Drag Race Mayhem says, we need more customer brands where is McDonald's, Taco Bell, Walmart, Target, Amazon. I agree. Why not have an Amazon car? They making money hand over fist. Yeah, Snoop even sponsoring the Arizona Bowl with gin and juice. Exactly. Get on the side. Hey, NHRA brass, Allie, my guy, Josh, y'all need to get on the phone and get Snoop to a race. Get him hooked, and then he can take that sponsorship and go and help my guy TJ Zizzo. Then it'd be Rust-Oleum and gin and juice on side the car. That's what I like. I mean, if I can't have a car and drive, I want my guy TJ Zizzo out there. So let's do that. Drag Race Mayhem says, I can't relate to the RL because I don't drive trucks, but Target and such the average person knows about. True. Only reason why I can relate to it because my brother and I had several family members that are truck drivers. So that's why. Yeah, and I get it. If you're not in that type of world, probably doesn't hit you like it hits people whose family members or maybe they even drive trucks. So I get it. Lonnie says, like Troy Vincent back in the early 2000s, he sponsored some pro stock drivers where the NFL guys are at. Yeah, I agree with that too. Definitely. I do not forget that. Yeah. Oh, Troy Vincent. Drag Racing Mayhem says NHRA's fan base would have a meltdown if Snoop was at the track. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You're talking about going wild. I mean, I was stunned when I saw Braun Strowman. That man is big. I think you guys seen the picture on my Instagram if you follow me or on my Facebook. That guy's big. Really big. And he's super cool too, man. Super cool. I don't think I finished the car counts here. So let me get to that real quick. So you got 20 top fuel cars. You got 18 funny cars. Dale Creasy Jr. is going to be there. And we talked about Chris King and our guy, Nitro Joe. I'm excited for him. Really appreciated him coming on, breaking the news here on the show. And I'm really excited about the partnership they have this weekend. So if you're at Norwalk, go over and see them. Put your lungs on a dyno. That's all I'm going to say. And stop by and see Joe. Super, super nice guy. And I'm really excited for his initiative to be on display this weekend. You've got some of the best in the business working with him too. So it's going to be a good weekend for him. To get over into the, did I say Pro Stock? Pro Stock's 14 people out there. I'm Pro Stock Motorcycle, that is 14. I'm a little surprised by that. And I believe there's no LE on the list. I don't know what's up with that. I know that Vincent Hines did have that fourth bike out there with Ellie on it. I'm not sure. That's not John Hall is not on that bike, I don't think. No, that's not even the right. That's Matt Smith. My bad. But I'm surprised that it's 14 bikes. I really am. You're like, there's 2 bikes somewhere. Don't know where, but they're somewhere. I think, well, one of those is Joey Gladstone, I believe, because we haven't seen him. So, but they did have Ellie on a bike. But 14, it is what it is. We'll run with it. If you're into the alcohol classes, which I'm excited to see them back, looking forward to seeing my favorite, Jackie Frick, and Julie Natus and Angel Sampay. I'm looking, Cody Crone's on that list too, over there in the top alcohol class. Got 19 dragsters over there, 14 funny cars over there. Hold on, let me go back. You're right, 14. Thank you. Hector Senior, yep. Forgot Hector was out there on one as well. Senior was out there, not out there at the moment. It says Gage Herrera effect. Why show up? Hey, that's not the way to think, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the way to think. But I get it. Right now, he's plaster in the field. Really. People are like, again? But I mean, to be the man, you got to beat the man. It's just that simple. So, yeah. Lonnie says, hell, call Karen Stouffer. I don't think, Karen might come out for a one-off. You're right. She might come out for a one-off. But, I'm looking forward to Norwalk. It's going to be fun. The fields are pretty full, and the racing's always good there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the NotBland Show. We are brought to you by SportsJourney.com and Everything Nitro. Again, go support our sponsor that powers us here, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Again, you go over, you sign up, you can use our code, you can jump into this league, and you can win free prizes all at the same time. It's good. And if you're at Norwalk, you find the sign deal where they're having you have Drag Race Bracket Bonanza signs, and you can write whatever you want on them, and then show up to the NHRA Insider Show. And we're trying to make this thing like game day. So, hey, get over there and get your sign. Again, like, subscribe, and share. It helps. You don't realize how much it helps. And again, it is a pleasure to be able to do this and you guys be a part of this. Without you, this is not possible. So I thank you all so much for giving me a shot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all tonight. And we're out of here.